Hello. It's been a minute. Um, yeah, how about that new intro? um, I hope y'all liked that little bit of melee there. All right, so like I said, it's been a minute. Um, and there is so much that has gone on. Um, where to start? Where to start? Really? Honestly, I won't be able to fit everything in my 1 hour that I'm going to be here. So let's kind of recap a little bit. So Trump has been in office. Oh, it's what, week 3 now? So we're on week 3, and he started sprinting like right away. He has not stopped working, and as a taxpayer, well, someone who's forced to pay taxes, I appreciate that. Of course, you want your reps and everybody else to work if they're getting paid by your tax dollars. That being said, and that's what he also tasked DOGE to do, is to get rid of a lot of people who aren't working, and that is what they've done. DOGE is up and running. DOGE is doing a good job. When I voted, yes, I did vote Trump, but my vote was for DOGE. The thought of cutting all the spending, all that waste, was just marvelous. Absolutely wonderful idea. Just like sitting there the whole time, like Ron Swanson, slash it. That was my vote. So DOGE has been up and running for really only going about a week that they've really been going at it, and they have been going at it, and they've been making a lot of people mad. Mostly when people get mad now because of what they found, it's been quite suspicious, to say the least. The big one that they have dove into, the big fish that they got, is USAID, not USAID, which a lot of left-leaning media outlets are really misleading a lot of people by calling it USAID, which makes it sound like Elon is cutting off aid in general, or that Trump is cutting off aid in general, although that both are. But that's not the truth. It is an acronym. It is not USAID as in foreign aid. Yes, I do some foreign aid, but what has been found is that there is a lot of corruption, money laundering, racketeering, funding of media, which is not what the government's supposed to be doing. The censorship complex system, or censorship system complex, is just, it goes deep. It goes deep. I don't even have enough time to really even cover all of the stuff that DOGE has found. They have found a lot, quite a bit, and it's been really interesting to see that they've not only found corruption and waste, which is what we kind of expected them to find, because there's really no way we are in the debt that we're in, and that's supposed to be going to roads and schools. No, it's not. It's not. So we all expected for there to be waste and fraud. The great Rand Paul covers a lot of waste fairly often. He'll just make a bunch of Twitter threads about all these wasteful projects that the government has done, and it seems like they've kind of gone on deaf ears to everybody but the camp that does pay attention, like the libertarians. And he's not only been vindicated in that, but it's been a lot worse. A lot worse. So the misinformation, actually, huge misinformation campaign behind this. And misinformation behind this is that, oh no, Elon Musk has taken all of your information and money. This guy has FU money. Do you think he really wants your pennies and dimes of your Social Security? I don't think so. Like, the guy, if you listen to any interviews, like, I guess with his ex-girlfriend, or I'm not sure if they're still together, with Grimes, the guy lives so modestly. Like, and he has FU money. Like, really, do you think he really cares about getting more money? The guy is like the richest man in the world. That's just the stupidest argument. And talking about how he has all these young people hired. Apparently there's only one 19-year-old on the crew. And I thought that the youth were to be trusted. Somebody made a point on X how Greta Thunberg wasn't even 18 and people were taking her as a climate expert. She was even speaking, I think, at the UN or something, how dare you, Honestly, that 19-year-old should just tell that to all the USAID workers about their wasteful spending. How dare they? And really, how dare they with our tax dollars? So he's got his little ragtag group. It's not a very big group, apparently. And they only have read-only status. This has been reported multiple times, but it's been falling on deaf ears. No one leaning on the left wants to comprehend that there is only a read-only. They don't have access to be able to change anything. They don't have access to be able to implement anything. They are going through the books. That's what they're doing. They're going through the books. And a lot of people, mostly people on the left, are screaming bloody murder about it. And it's just very telling about who says what regarding this. And the biggest thing that they're saying is that no one elected Elon Musk. Yeah, of course, no one elected Elon Musk. He was appointed by the president to head DOGE because the president is allowed to appoint people for executive branch projects and such. Well, nobody elected Fauci. That is probably somebody who was given a lot of power. If you don't recall, like the pandemic was just like what? Wow, already about 5 years away. Wow. Anyway, so Fauci was given so much power, made so many decisions and made so many calls, and he wasn't elected. He was appointed. So I don't see how they're really trying to legitimately make that claim and that call and use that as their point, because there's a lot of people who do things within the government that aren't elected. So no, Elon Musk wasn't elected. However, what Elon Musk was tasked to do, which he's doing right now, was a big reason why people elected Trump. That's why I actually voted Trump, because I wanted DOGE. I wanted to cut spending because that is very important, to cut spending before we collapse into ourselves. So we have some lovely videos of these politicians who probably, allegedly, have their hands in the cookie jars. Because why else would they be screaming the way they are about this? It's just sus. It's just absolutely sus. I really don't trust politicians, first off. And they are given the most disinformation about what's really going on, because they really want to rile up their base. That's what politicians do. They pull on your heartstrings. They try to get you riled up and push all these talking points. And they're talking. I'm not even getting into talking points. I am so worn out with all these talking points that the left does. That it really is kind of like this NPC thing with that chip. They just changed up the chip right now. They taken out the chip and put it in. Elon Musk was not elected. That's the new chip that they've reinstalled in all their NPCs. Or Elon Musk is stealing your money. You're not going to get your Social Security because Elon Musk is taking it. So yeah. All right. So let's get into a video here Let's see here. And there we go. I don't know how good my yeah. Let's see. I'm still figuring this out, y'all. And here we go. Let's see. There we go. Okay. All right, let's play this. This is they're protesting against Elon Musk having access to sensitive information. Like, no crap. How else are you supposed to audit the government if you don't have access to the government's files and such? My connection is terrible, so apologies ahead of time. All right, let's see about watching this here. All right.
We are here today as elected members of Congress. We're here today because an unelected billionaire and his team have been given full and unfettered access to our taxpayer money and our government. We just tried to enter the Treasury building as members of Congress, and we will, because we need to provide oversight to Elon Musk and his team. We don't know what they're doing behind these closed doors. The people deserve transparency. The fact that an unelected billionaire has all your private information is a problem.
Hands up our Social Security checks! Hands up our Constitution! Hands up our democracy! Hands off!
We cannot allow Elon Musk and a small group of people to secretly, behind closed doors, take away our privacy, take away our dollars, take away everything we have. We are going to fight this fight. I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win. We will win. We will win.
Sorry. That was the irony. They're just so funny. It's like a Saturday Night Live sketch. The irony of everything they're saying, talking about transparency, talking about doing what's behind doors. Now they're worried about billionaires being involved. Yeah. Oh, that's rich. That's rich. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. It's just the clown world, absolute clown world. There's just I don't know. It's funny to me. It's really funny, and I should just write down every single point that they try to make to rile up their base can be refuted, that they are guilty of all of that. But what Musk is trying to do with his team is just audit the books. They're just auditing the books. And the fact that they have issues with that is pretty sus. One point they try to make is that he's got all your information. Elon Musk has all your information. Well, these thousands of bureaucrats also had our information. They weren't elected. They worked for USAID. And not only that, what did Snowden show us? The government having our information is not as safe as they try to make it. It's really not. In fact, I would rather Elon Musk, somebody who knows he wouldn't gain anything from my broke ass, to review my personal information than some crooked bureaucrat in DC. Let's see here. They're all just scared of what Musk's team might find. This smells like panic to me. It is absolute panic. It is absolute panic. The rats are fleeing the sinking ship, and they are in full-blown panic mode. And the smart thing for them to do would be to be quiet, keep your head down, don't bring attention to yourself. Because like I said, what they're doing is they're finding fraud, they're finding waste. They're looking at the books, they're looking at the dollars, where the money is going, if it's being used, wisely, which there's a lot of instances where it's flat out not. Apparently there was a gas station that was funded in Afghanistan, and it gets no customers. Yeah, and that was like, I forgot the dollar amount. I should have written that down. I'm not very prepared. And that was like, it was like a couple $1 million at least, I believe. And is that a wise way to spend our money? It's not. So where is it going back to? There's no way some of these things actually cost as much as they did. It's filling pockets of somebody. Somebody somewhere is getting their pockets filled. So that's one thing, is that Musk and his team are finding the fraud and waste, and they're mad about it. Shouldn't they want government to be efficient, government to use their tax dollars wisely? With them kicking and screaming about it, it's like them telling their constituents that they have issues with finding fraud and waste. It's more than just wear a big sign that says, I don't care what we do with your money. Don't tell me what to do with your money. I don't care what we do with your money. I'm going to do what I want. And it's suspicious. So if they have their hands in the cookie jars, you think they would just like shut up? Not say anything? Because bringing attention to themselves the way it is, I'm going to be like, okay, Chucky Schumer, what do you have going on? Let's look at your numbers. Let's look at who you're involved with, what organizations you're involved with that get money from USAID. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't care that there's transgender operas, honestly. Art is art, What I do care about is that our government was funding an opera. But not just an opera in another country. What is the reasoning of that? I was hearing that there are some, I'm not sure if it's verified, if there are some theories that USAID basically works as the CIA's hand. And they push a lot of things like things that would be counterculture to cultures around the world, to try to kind of bring them down a bit and eventually even topple regimes. There was a Democrat lawmaker who even said that freedom fighters are funded through USAID. That's illegal. Toppling regimes that, I know that we have been rumored to like topple regimes and have our hands in all these regime changes and such. It's kind of an open secret, kind of an open rumor. Nobody has actually ever gotten like solid proof and evidence, but he said the quiet part out loud, that USAID is funding freedom fighters. And that's not really something that you want to admit that, hey, this is our arm to do all these illegal things in other countries. And that's just dirty. That's just so dirty. We already knew not to trust the government. We already know the government's dirty. And then this comes out and they're so mad about it. And they're trying to push so much misinformation and disinformation to try to, smoke and mirrors. Don't look over the man behind the curtain. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm kind of speechless almost about it, because we're kind of being vindicated on how atrocious our government really is when it comes to money, when it comes to how they're allocating funds. It's beyond wasteful. It's beyond shameful. And yeah, I'm at a loss, literally, because my tax dollars are going to things that don't benefit myself or anybody in the country. Okay, so I do have some more videos here. Hang on, let me see if I can get these up. I'm such a boomer with this thing. Hang on, let's see. Okay, actually, before we get into that, let's take a little commercial break here. Okay. All right. Let's see. Today's episode is sponsored by libertariangoth.com, where you can celebrate Valentine's Day the only way a liberty lover would. I got a couple new shirts. The one with the skull on it at the left. Actually, they both have skulls on them. I love skulls. They're just so nice. This one right here says, "Bless the lovers, damn the rulers." And this one right here says, "Break laws, not hearts." I particularly love these two cards. It says, "There's nothing else I'd rather do than boogaloo with you." And this one right here, "I love you just as much as I love Ron Paul." And then you open it up, it says, "Really, I do." And then it says, "But not more than." So you can still tell your lady or your man that you love them as much as you love Ron Paul. All right, I got a new drop today, though. This is the new drop today. It takes big balls to audit the government. It certainly does. So go check that out if you'd like at libertariangoth.com. It takes big balls to audit the government. All right, so let's try to get this video back up. I think I know where I messed up. First off, I'm a boomer trying to do this. And secondly, I am working with a laptop and a tablet. Eventually, I'll get all the proper equipment I need to do this correctly. Okay, let's get it out there. Okay. Let's get this up. All right, so this is meltdowns. We're at war. Host reacts to Dems meltdown over Elon Musk's DOGE. These meltdowns are just so let's watch them. If it loads. Oh no, ads. Okay, let's skip that. There we go.
Democrats are back in action after their brutal election loss, with the new DNC chair insisting his party is still alive and kicking.
We're not dead as a party. We're still alive and kicking, and we're going to fight for our values, and we're going to fight for American values. And we're on the side of hardworking men and women who just want the country to not forget about them, to make sure that we are centering their lives and focusing again on making the American dream real for all Americans.
But the party faces quite the dilemma, with voters seeing Democrats putting social issues ahead of economic problems. So how can they regain America's trust? Democratic strategist and pollster Doug Schoen joins us now. Hey, Doug. Good morning.
Hey, Ainsley, how are you?
All right,
I'm doing well.
let's skip through this because I skipped this little interview here. We want to get to where they're crying about DOGE because that's the nice meat and potatoes of it. We don't care otherwise. All right.
And I hear Donald Trump and I see what he's doing.
JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all, big tech right now is.
And I think common sense. And I think this progressive message of focusing on the wrong thing, on all these social issues versus the economy, was a mistake for the Democrats. What do you think?
Well, Ainsley, you make a number of points. Let me take them up. First, Americans want a smaller government. That is undeniable. Second, it is entirely appropriate to say to President Trump, we don't think we need to cut a third of the budget. We don't need to eliminate the number of employees he is talking about with Elon Musk talking about reducing. But there is clear desire to reduce the size of government, and internationally, the scope of foreign aid is almost certainly too broad and less targeted to where our friends and allies are. I think we Democrats do a much better job looking at policies and offering alternative visions and alternative policies rather than, as you rightly put it, Ainsley, fear-mongering, scaring people, and engaging in reckless hyperbole.
Doug, what is your message for Ken Martin, the new DNC chair?
Focus on working people, focus on job creation, education that gives people the opportunity to get training for the jobs that exist, get inflation down, and work constructively as Bill Clinton did with the Republicans after the 1994 election.
I just got to pause it there. Because when he's saying for the Democrats to get it back, first off, yes, they are definitely putting social issues ahead of economic. And economic is what impacts everybody. Now, social issues may not impact everybody, but when you have more people impacted by something, people are going to care about that more. It's just common sense. So he says to focus on the working class, which they always say they are doing and try to do, although they're not. They're really they are the billionaire donor class, or the big between the two. Between the two, they're the bigger of the one. So he also said to reduce inflation. Didn't we just have a Democrat in office? And didn't inflation go up even higher than like anyone would, care to admit or live through? And the thing is that Democrats, well, both Republicans too, but Democrats are the worst at this between the two. They love spending, just throwing money at things. Obviously, you see USAID with all these left-wing sort of agendas being sent around the world. Millions of, even sometimes billions of dollars being sent around the world, funding total BS in BFE wherever on earth. And what they don't seem to understand is that inflation is from like the government spending, and when the government spends, they spend more than they have. They can't default, so they print more money. And Congressman Massey actually did an amazing, amazing example of this the other day, where he took his colleague. I don't remember whose it was. He took his colleague's tea, and it was about, I don't know, maybe half full or a little less than, or just like there's some room in there, and said that, to use that as an example for inflation. You print more money, you put it in there, and it dilutes it. He totally diluted his tea and then gave him his tea back. It was pretty funny. But that was a perfect example. So when the government, they can't default, so they print more money. And that dilutes, the currency, which is inflation. It drives inflation. Your money is worth less when it's diluted. So how would they reduce inflation? I can't think of anything or any way a Democrat would try to do any kind of inflation reduction. Because didn't they try to pass, or didn't they actually pass the Inflation Reduction Act, and it did the opposite? Because all they do is throw money at things. That's all they do. So that was a laugh. Okay. I had to cut in there, because a lot of what the points that he was saying for Democrats to get the ball back, it's just laughable, because they're really aiming at the wrong board to try to get things done, and they just don't get things done. They just spend. Both parties do. Democrats are the worst. Okay, so let's continue.
So that there is a consensus of Americans supporting goals we all support, not supporting the extreme left-wing cultural agenda that you put up on the screen that people believe the Democrats do support.
Yeah, I mean, Doug, I'm listening to Maxine Waters and Chuck Schumer, and they're just screaming at the podium. What do you make of the Democrats' message? Is it working?
Ainsley, with all due respect, I don't think there is a message. I think their message is hate and fear and opposition, a message that failed. I think they need to do a retrospective on the election and come up with a broad centrist agenda that takes the best of what the present administration is doing, offer alternative policies to arguably strengthen those policies, make them more efficient and more in line with what the American people, and particularly working people, people of color, those without high school, college educations want. We'll be much better off doing that rather than hate, division, polarization, and fear-mongering.
Doug, will you stay in the...
Him saying that, it's a good point. A lot of people who are, I believe, let's say, former leftists, some people who even went MAGA, who are still left-leaning by definition, have said many times, even Elon Musk himself, is that he didn't move right. The left just moved further left. And he's got a point right there about how they need to, make more, like reach out more to the centrists and more the centrist interests, and try to bring back or kind of stop with all of the divisive rhetoric, because it is getting so tense. If you're not left, you're basically evil and a Nazi. That's basically how it is now, because a lot of the left has got their talking points about how, everybody who's not believing these certain things, you are sexist, you're misogynist, you're transphobic, you're homophobic, you are racist, you're xenophobic. When it's not really the case. They have expanded these definitions to further divide, to do this moral high ground. And on this moral high ground that they're doing, it not only makes them feel better, but it's a big virtue signal to all the other people who think alike, to try to guilt other people into at least agreements, even if it's just like they're shutting up and saying, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. No, no, no. We are a nation of free speech. We are a nation of free thinkers. Our founding fathers were amazing free thinkers. They made an amazing constitution with a Bill of Rights that is ironclad, which nowadays it doesn't seem to be. And there's a lot of divisiveness, a lot of very divisive rhetoric on the left. And it really has pushed a lot of people out. And a lot of these people are saying that I didn't leave the left left me, because it has gone too far left. They have gotten to where they are, like they're saying, focusing more on social issues than they are things like the economy. Because honestly, as a libertarian, social issues, they're like nothing to me. Like, not saying that I don't care, but I mean nothing to me in the sense where I don't care what you do. Just don't harm anybody else. That's it. I think that's a simple stance. Simple stance enough. If you are a consenting adult, whatever you do and want to do with your life, as long as you are not harming anybody, do whatever you want. I don't care. You are a free person. Okay? That's a simple stance. But you have a lot of people on the left who want to control other people's behavior. That is not okay. That is not okay at all. And you don't have the right to not be offended. That's not a right. So when you're focusing on all these social issues, you're trying to also control people's behavior, and people don't like that. There's some people who, will absolutely not use any kind of like preferred pronouns of other people, and then they get, canceled and everything else. Focusing on that as issues whenever we have people unable to afford their groceries. And then after the election, people said, you chose cheaper eggs over my rights. No rights have been taken away. No actual rights. Please tell me what actual rights have been taken away. Playing in sports is not a right. That was a Title IX thing that he presented. So the left, if they change their gears and actually start focusing on their economic policies, because they're still running forward with their economic policies with these social issues. And the thing is that when people are voting for these social issues because that's what their heart feels like, that they feel like that's the best thing to do for others and the rights of others and such, they're not realizing the economic policies that come along with it. Yes, it feels good to think that you're doing something good for others and the oppressed, or people who really want to be oppressed because they really think they're oppressed, but they're not oppressed. You think you're doing the right thing, but along with that vote comes terrible economic policies, like absolutely terrible economic policies. Bidenomics absolutely failed this nation. Like, if you're living it, I don't have to tell you. And they're still voting for that because of the social issues. But there's people who can't afford their groceries, can't afford their rent. Their savings are now depleted, if they even had any to begin with. And that's because people are voting for their feelings. But along with that, certain politicians and parties and such came horrible economic policies. Now, feel about Trump however you may. I'm actually, I don't see myself as a Trumper. I voted for him because I voted for DOGE. See him however you'd like. Yes, he's a bit egotistical. He's a bit uncouth. He's blunt. I do find him hilarious, though. I do think his bluntness can be hilarious sometimes. But feel about how you may. He may not be fuzzy hugs and kisses, but what he's doing economically so far by cutting spending within the government, That is great, like, policy right there. I will absolutely commend him for that. We want to cut spending, and that is going to help with inflation. He's trying to bring, jobs and have other countries invest in the country, our country. That's good policy. You want other countries to invest in you. Um, and he may not be all fuzzy, warm stuff with all the social issues, but your quality of life is going to improve because the economics is going to improve. And he's not going to take away he's not going to do a nationwide abortion ban. He already said that flat out. I don't know why that was even a thing. It's just another one of those fear-mongering tactics. There's so many misinformation, disinformation, fear-mongering tactics. It's like the party that is always crying about misinformation just spouts the worst of it. Absolutely the worst of it. Let's see here. Under Bidenomics, I went from eating all organic veggies and buying a half cow every 6 months to hoping I have enough tortillas for quesadillas each week. That's rough, homie. That's really rough. And it shouldn't be like that. And here's the thing is that they also try to say, like, live within your means or and like adjust your way of life. But the thing is that I don't want to change how I live my life. I want to still do things that I've always done, that I'm used to doing, buy things that I've always bought, that I'm used to buying. But I want to be able to afford it. I don't want to change my lifestyle. I just want to be able to continue affording my lifestyle. So I don't have to change it because I like how I live. Like if Bidenomics didn't tear things up, I'd actually have a new set of nails already now. But no, I have to wait. So hopefully, maybe a year from now, hopefully I can come on here and say, oh, well, things are better and I'll have nice nails and whatever. So people need to realize that voting not with your emotions, voting with your brain, that is what's going to help your life out better. Because you vote with your emotions, you don't know what kind of stuff they're going to tack onto that. Social issues, they're a thing to vote on maybe back during the civil rights era. Yeah, but there are no actual rights that anybody in this country has that somebody else doesn't. Unless you're a Clinton, then you're above the law, or a Biden, then you're above the law. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, let's continue if we can.
Party?
I am in the party for now. I lean independent. I hope I can come back to the Democratic Party as I did when Bill Clinton moved to the center. But these are very much open questions, Ainsley.
Didn't I just say how a lot of the left says that the left left them? This gentleman seems like he was a proud Democrat and it's just not so much anymore. Although I wouldn't name drop Clinton as somebody that I'd want to, I don't know, like, what's the word? I don't know, mesh and mingle with, even politically. I don't know. They just gross. Ugh.
Doug, thank you so much for coming on. Always great to see you.
There is electromagnetic energy in that pyramid between 260.
Yes, it sounds interesting, but later. Okay.
Great to see you. Thanks.
Thank you.
His team, Musk's team, have saved the federal government more than $1 billion a day through efforts like cancellation of federal building leases, contracts related to DEI. And although they have some other specifics, he's got his team of engineers that have helped balance budgets in his other companies working right now. They're looking at absolutely everything. Musk is also studying the works of the GSA, which manages federal properties. Officials discussed a plan to eliminate 50% of expenditures. Why do Democrats feel as though, I know there's some that's always going to fight them, but why do they feel as though they were on board with DOGE in theory until they actually started doing things? Right. Then they all jump.
I can answer that one. Yeah, because even in DC, when they propose cutting spending, regardless of what's going on, regardless of how big the debt is. Because, Congressman Massey, he wears that debt clock. He's always reminding them. So they have it in their face all the time. Because why else? If your money flow, if you're getting any kind of kickbacks, of course you're going to kick and scream about it. That's why. Because you trace you follow the money and you trace everything where it's going to. It's going back to these politicians. There's no way all this money is just kind of, there's a dead end when it goes to these random organizations, these random NGOs. And these random NGOs don't even really do what the money was supposed to be set aside for. There was some school, I believe it was Afghanistan or Pakistan. It was a few $1 million. I think it was like about $30 million. I could be wrong. I'm just kind of, this example I saw, just scrolling X today. It was a school and it wasn't even habitable. No one's going to be learning in that school. And there were millions of dollars that were given to make that school. Well, first off, our schools, they kind of need some overhauling. But where did that money go? Zelensky himself, after this all came out, Zelensky said that 10%, he's only really received 10%. Where did the rest of the money go? Because it's gone. It's not like it's just sitting there and didn't, get sent. It's gone. It went somewhere. So somebody has to know. And DOGE doing these audits, they're trying to get that figured out, because there is a paper trail. There is always a paper trail. There is always a way to connect the dots, find out where things have gone. And that's what he's doing. And that's why they're mad about it, because they're worried that at the end of the line tracing of all the dot connecting, it's going to go back to them. Yeah, his wife's shopping sprees in Paris. Yeah, I know, for a war-torn president who is just an actor beforehand. His wife certainly spent a lot of money in Paris. Yeah. This is interesting. Politicians preach to us about being responsible with money while they refuse to be responsible with taxpayer money. I've heard many people say that it's easier to spend somebody else's money than it is your own money. And I really think that's true. Because so your parents give you money when you're younger, to do something. You spend it a lot easier than when you first get your first job and you really don't want to spend it, because you know how hard you work to get it and how hard it worked to make it. So yeah, they really want people to make sacrifices, when the reason they're wanting us to make sacrifices is because they're irresponsible. We shouldn't have to suffer for the irresponsibility of our leaders, who we put in charge to be responsible. That's why they're put there. Is it not? We put them in charge to be responsible. And then they get our money and they're irresponsible with it. Drives up inflation. They pass terrible bills that cost us money. They send our money overseas for random weird projects, surgeries for people, not even Americans, and people who are in their country, staying in their country, when we have people who could use some assistance here. Not that, I'm not for socialized medicine, of course, but it doesn't make any sense. And so that's why I'm saying that there has to be some way to connect these dots and then get to the end of that road on the recipient. And that's why they're so mad at Elon Musk, because he's going to draw those lines. His whole team is going to see all the books. And there's going to be people who are going to come up. I bet they are going to find some really damning evidence. And I'm looking forward to it. In fact, another commercial break from libertariangoth.com. Politician tears. the best tumbler with the sweetest drinks right now. Very refreshing. It comes in black and it comes in white. All right, let's continue this. There we go.
Jumped off the bandwagon and started rallying around that fearless leader, Maxine Waters.
All Elon wants to do is cut our spending. You work really hard, right? Wouldn't you rather that money stay in the United States? There's a lot of foreign aid going for just junk, like the $20 million on Sesame Street shows in Iraq. Do you want to pay for that? The $11 million to tell Vietnam to stop.
I will. Just the Iraq Sesame Street thing. There's a meme video going around. I believe it had to have been some sort of skit because it had ABC watermark in the corner. That was pretty funny. If you haven't seen it, it's somewhere on my timeline. Just check it out. It's hilarious.
Burning trash. Do you want to pay for that? It's just wasteful spending. So we all work too hard.
You're exactly right. And they seem tone deaf when they're advocating for more aid when the American people here are suffering from different crises. The reporting on this and the backlash has been totally wrong. The way they're putting it is that Elon is on some island and he's just doing all of this himself. No, the office is doing this, is in the executive office, and he calls the president and tells the president, okay, this is what I found. And then he says, the president said, cut it, get rid of it.
Right.
And then Elon goes back to the president, he goes, are you sure, sir? Do you really want this to happen? He goes, yes, but the way that they're spinning it is totally inaccurate.
Well, and, if you went out on the street and you did a poll about, okay, if we're going to...
Did you see Chucky Schumer's moves there? He's got some moves, Mr. Chucky Schumer. And that's another point. We have all of these natural disasters, and we're still sending more money overseas to help others with their disasters and whatever else to launder back. But didn't our government only give $700 to the people of North Carolina and even in California? $700. That is the most insulting thing ever when you're sending millions and billions overseas. Not even to the people that you are over, not even to your constituents. And they wonder why people really want this audit done. And they're really trying to, throw the blanket over everybody's eyes and just scream something else. Really trying to do these smoke and mirrors and do these protests like Chucky Schumer jumping all around there. We're going to win. No, honey. If it comes to find out that you're doing fraud and you're corrupt, you're going to jail. You ain't gonna win. So, I am just flabbergasted at how the Democrats are acting about all this. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they're behaving this way. And I'm sure once it gets deeper, there's also going to be some Republicans that are tied up in it too. There just has to be, because there's a lot of war hawks on the Republican side. But I really love how Thomas Massey says that he is here for it. I am here for it too, Mr. Massey. I am just loving it. I don't think there's enough popcorn in this world for what's going on. And I hope Elon keeps digging and him and his team uncover all of this fraud and waste. And the fact that they are funding left-wing journalism, even in this country, that's propaganda. That is like a state-run media. And it's all to favor one party. There's a lot of racketeering going on. And a lot of people are going to be implicated in it. They are. And I'm here for it. I can't wait to see all the chips fall. It's going to be a fun year. Fun year, y'all. Okay, where did my mouse go? There we go.
If we're going to cut the federal bureaucracy, because we know it's bloated and we know there is a lot of waste, where should you just start? Polls have shown historically that you start with foreign aid because it's simply because the federal bureaucracy is already unpopular. But by sending the money that we make here in the United States over there for who knows what,
Steve,
it just misses the mark.
did you see Maxine Waters? Did you see Chuck Schumer? These Democrats are having a meltdown about
absolutely.
saving money. Listen to
Let's go
this.
for this.
We have to fight this in the courts. We have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets. Stop the coup. Stop the grift. Stop Elon Musk.
Shut down the city. We are at war. Anytime a person can pay $250 million into a campaign.
Yeah, at war. Yeah, our money is squeaking as we're trying to pull it back out of their hands. That's the war going on. They're holding so tightly to our money. They want to keep spending it. They want to keep wasting it because it's probably ending up in their bank accounts. A lot of these politicians go into office with only a 6-figure job in like the $100K range for like a year, and they come out being worth like millions. How has that not raised any red flags? That's I think that's like the biggest red flag ever, to be paid a certain amount and then come out like 10 times, more than 10 times what your salary even was. Would you not spend money all year? Did it all go into savings or something? No. There's something sketch going on. Absolutely sketch. And I don't get how nobody else or people on their side are not putting it together. They're literally fighting to keep spending and wasting their money. And they're trying to tell you it's one thing or something else. They are fighting to continue spending and wasting your hard-earned money. Do you suffer at your job just so a politician can waste it and send it and fund random things around the globe? Is that okay? If you think that's okay, then you need help. Because it's not going to their constituents. It's not. It's going to themselves. They're self-serving. That's all they are.
And they've been given full access to the Department of Treasury. We are at war.
We have convened here in the right place, the Treasury Department. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected you.
Did anybody vote for a government of billionaires for billionaires? Are you ready to stand up and defend our democracy?
With the Soros.
What we're in the face of right now is an authoritarian takeover of our country, and we say hell no.
I'm sorry, boo-boo. The authoritarian takeover is all that BS you have going on in USA that is only leaning towards one way, and it's dictating everything else in the globe. All right, so that's enough of that. That was, and I am going to need to clean out my ears. All that screeching, just because they want to keep spending our money. So they're telling everybody Elon Musk is this and that, because he's fighting fraud and waste. I applaud him for fighting the fraud and waste. Thank you, Elon. Thank you for finding that. And let's hold people accountable. People need to actually be held accountable. And nobody really is held accountable nowadays. Yeah. So, what are y'all's thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. And we're going to wrap it up here in a few, or not really a few seconds actually. But thank you for tuning in and to my little rage ranting. Actually, they're probably rage and ranting more than I am because I'm not spending anybody else's money. And maybe next time we come back, DOGE will find even more. Maybe people will be held accountable. I don't know. Let's see. Let's hope. Because this waste needs to stop. Yeah, I can't believe they're fighting to keep stealing our cash. I can believe it. I can absolutely believe it. They're politicians. That's what they do. There's a reason I'm pro small government, because you put people in power, they get greedy. They get really greedy. Like, that's just human nature. You give somebody power, that is not only human nature, but if somebody strays from that human nature and they get in power and they're not trying to, take over everything and get corrupt and whatnot, that's why I'm really keeping watch of the junior reps and senators like AOC. Like, let's see if she's still in office years down the road. Let's see if DC corrupted her. It seems to corrupt everybody except the sweet, darling, adorable, amazing, intelligent national treasure that is Thomas Massey. And Ron Paul, of course, because Ron Paul was in DC for a while too. And his son Rand's pretty cool too. Okay, yeah, that's my, I can count on two fingers the best currently serving congressman. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, all the other good jazz, and thank you for listening to me rage and rant. I am just sick of my money being wasted. I hope you're sick of your money being wasted. And let's go DOGE. All right, so lead with kindness unless they don't deserve it. Bye.